Welcome back to Wealthy Mentor Trading, guys. Today is October the 2nd, 2022. And today I'm going to be discussing four stocks that will continue to bleed this week. Yes, continue to bleed. We did have the GDP numbers come out on the S&P 500. This is now back-to-back quarters leading to a negative result, officially leading us into a bear market scenario. I'm going to be discussing that. So please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel as we do release videos every Sunday. We also do have our $97 summer promo on our Discord channel, Wealthy Mentor Trading, which pretty much entails everything that we're going to be discussing today, along with targets. If you're day trading, if you are swing trading, if you are prepping every single day for the market, and analyst upgrades, downgrades, the whole 9 yards, we have it, right? So the link is in the description for that. So as I was saying, we do have the S&P 500, and guys, we had another bearish week, obviously leading us to a move below that 3650 area, which was the yearly lows back on June, right? We finally broke through that. There was no bounce here. Bulls didn't show any type of strength pushing us higher. I was looking for some bull strength, right? I did mention that I want to see a push towards 3800, but ultimately that would still lead us lower. It would be a bounce similar to this. As you guys see, the bounces are going to get smaller and smaller, ultimately leading us to the bottom destination, which I believe is towards 3400 and 3210, which is the bottom of this section right here. And 3400 is the top before the ultimate pandemic drop, right? So a full retracement would be that 3400. We also might downshoot to these areas right here where we saw some support back on September 2020. So keep in mind those targets, guys. I did have that 3650 as my one area for a bounce. The next one was 3400, and I am instructing students to also watch out for that 3200. And by the looks of it, guys, we are continuing to drop this week. I do have my targets of 3520 as my main area. Am I expecting a bounce right there? Perhaps not. We are in a downtrend. We also do have this trend line here. I have it drawn from the very top at 48, and it has respected it, right? So we tried to touch it here, got a rejection, another bounce here, got a rejection. And if we do get a bounce, again, guys, it would lead us to that 3800, and that's nowhere to be seen at the moment. All signs point to a continued move lower. So definitely watch that 3520 going into this week. Now, if we do receive some sort of relief bounce based on oversold conditions, 3650 is that area where I can see the markets running up to before essentially getting another rejection for a continued move lower. I also like to bring to your attention that the RSI, the weekly RSI, is also on a downtrend, approaching that oversold area. We bounced off it twice right here, but not officially going into oversold territory. The last time we hit oversold territory was that COVID drop. So, that could be also an indicator that the things might be changing, right? The tides might be changing once we hit that oversold area. But, right now, all you guys can see is that we are in a downtrend, 3520. Watch for that target if you are taking short trades. All right. So the first name I want to discuss that will continue to bleed, that is Tesla. So Tesla just released their delivery numbers, and guys, you know what? They were pretty bullish in a sense. However, they did miss analyst expectations, right? So the Q3 numbers came out with 343,000 approximately, right? Missing analyst expectations of 357. Now, even though they missed expectations, they did completely kill expectations from last year in 2021 during this time. So they are moving ahead. Unfortunately, it does not meet the analysts' expectations, right? So to me, what am I looking at? Obviously, the elephant in the room here is that 300 to 315 line, multiple touches on the weekly, and obviously rejections. Not just because it could not get over due to the delivery numbers or the stock is bearish in itself. It's the whole market weakness. Tesla does hold a nice value in the S&P 500. So obviously, when the S&P 500 tanks, Tesla's going to follow through. And it has been holding pretty strong lately, right? I was mentioning this to my students at Wealthy Mentor Trading that Tesla is one of those names that has held strong, right? So now we got these bearish numbers, right, going into Monday. We are at that area at critical support 266. I am looking at that 255 line, which was the top of this consolidation area before we broke out. We are going to be testing it for support. So if bulls do not step in around that 255, 266 area, right, for a bounce, I am looking for a continued move lower, right? So we have multiple catalysts here. We got the delivery numbers not meeting expectations. We got the market on a downfall, right? We got the GDP numbers on the S&P 500 screaming bearish in a bear market. So all things are leading lower for a name like Tesla, right? When you see market weakness, every name is going to suffer from that type of weakness, right? So 255 is that number to watch. I'm looking at short trades down to that 233 area. I will be instructing students. We do have targets in between there. I also continue to look at volume, market conditions to make that judgment call. So the link is in the description if you do want to join us. So 233 is my first target, and I'm also looking for a continued move lower. Now the S&P 500 will definitely need to drop down to 3,400 for this next profit target to get hit at that 206 area, which obviously we do have multiple touches here, bulls coming in and bouncing at that 206 area, much like bears rejecting at that 300 area. So we also have a strong area of support. So we could definitely see pull down to that 233, 206 line this week. Maybe not 206 so much, but if we do receive a push down on the S&P 500, Tesla's going to follow through. Again, we are not close to being oversold on the weekly RSI, so there's still plenty of room. Perhaps 206 will definitely drag us near that area on the RSI oversold. All right, so watch Tesla going into Monday. Another name, Moderna, MRNA. I don't need to really brief you guys on what Moderna is. We all know what Moderna is. Pretty much this name caught my attention. COVID numbers are decreasing and they're at the lowest since April. So that is the headline. Uh, Also, many people are not even aware of these new variants and these new vaccinations. So the awareness factor with all these new vaccinations that are coming out by Moderna are not really popular as they once were. So that's going to take a hit on Moderna's price. Obviously, we have this key trend line at 115. It has held pretty well ever since the up move, right, from 2020. And here we are that we have multiple touches on the weekly. We finally touched that once again last week, and we are in danger of breaking trend. That's exactly what I'm going to be looking at this week. That 115 line down to targets of 102 and 94. Obviously, these are areas that are bottom hitters right here where we bounced off from and where this big candle, bullish candlestick back in 2020, we have clear support at. So again, guys, that 115 breaks trend. I'm looking at that 102.594 for a continued move lower. Now, obviously, we did have a bounce here multiple times on the weekly. Do I see it happening once again? Perhaps not. And the reason is that the market conditions, right? The catalyst right now is different from the catalyst that drove us all the way higher when it bounced, right? People were still expecting the COVID vaccines, so we bounced. We were still in lockdowns, not so much anymore. So the tide has changed, and I am looking for that break. All right. So that's Moderna on the weekly time frame. Watch that 115 line. Another name, and this is the tech sector, right? QQQ, right? The technology sector, big name back in 2021, and we have been in a downfall, guys. And much like the S&P 500, you know, they held on tight at that 268 line, pretty much touching yearly lows. I am looking for a continued move lower, right? So we slightly crossed underneath that 268 line, closing at the very bottom. Just the way the candlestick formation here is, it's completely full at the bottom. That screams bearish to me. Again, I'm looking for a continued move lower down to 260, which coincides with this support area back on September 2020. So that is my first take profit target. Obviously, if the S&P 500 continues to downfall, the tech sector is huge, guys. Like, I mean, it's one of those things that you definitely got to look at if you want to see if the markets are going down. So 260 is that one line. We also have another bounce area where bears hell pretty much could not drag it lower, but below 250, and the bull stepped in, giving us a nice little bounce before we dropped again. So again, 250.5 is my second take profit target, but like I would like to bring to your attention, just like the S&P 500 at that 34 line, the 238 line is just as important for the tech sector, right? It was the highs before the COVID drop, just like the S&P 500 34 was the highs before the drop. I'm looking for a 100% retracement back to the means, right? The market before the COVID drop was doing good. We had a huge run up based on pretty much money printing. And now we are retracing 100% back to where we were. And in fact, we are worse than where we were just due to the inflation and the negative GDP numbers. So 238 is that official number for me to watch. Again, it will pretty much lead us to an oversold weekly RSI. Last time we hit it, we did have a nice significant bounce right here. And what's not to say that can lead us to another bounce, right? As traders, we don't care what the overall direction is. We look for volatility, and the tech sector is definitely providing a lot of volatility these days. All right, so watch below 268. Another sector, the semiconductor sector, right? SMH. This was a little less forgiving, right, guys? Just like the tech sector, we did break lower with this one, right? We did break lower, yearly lows below that 190.5 level, breaking trends. I am looking for a continued move lower, right? So we're already closing at the very bottom on the week, and I'm looking for that 173 touch. Also would lead us to a weekly oversold, also an area where we bounced off last time. So, you know, we could drop down to 173, get a nice bounce back up to 190 or even 204 before getting another rejection and moving lower. Um, you know, if we are judging by the COVID top, it's pretty much at this level right here. And that leads us to that 150 to 155 level. I don't foresee that happening anytime soon, but it's definitely a possibility since the market is in a downtrend. Okay, so watch below 190.5 on the SMH sector, the semiconductor sector, big name, big sector prior to the drop, along with the tech sector. All right, guys, so those were four names that I envisioned that will continue to bleed. They do have a high probability just because the market is in a free fall. As discussed, you know what to do on QQQ, right? You know what to look at on the semiconductor sector. Moderna, you know, the COVID cases are dropping. Pandemic's pretty much over. Uh, Look for a move lower. Tesla with the delivery numbers, although they do look nice compared to 2021, they don't meet analyst expectations along with market conditions, all lead to a downfall. All right. Thank you so much for joining today. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. And if you are interested in trading with us at Wealthy Mentor Trading on our Discord, the link is in the description for 97 bucks for 2 months. Can't beat that. See you guys in the chat.